2 years had passed since the liberation of Zerion 7, and the galaxy was burning with rebellion. What had started as a single human strike had grown into a massive uprising that spanned dozens of star systems. The hegemony's iron grip on power was slipping as enslaved species joined the growing resistance movement. General Tim Baker stood in the command bunker on Thrinox, watching his forces secure another factory complex. The planet had been one of the hegemony's most important manufacturing worlds, where the insectoid klaxon species had been forced to build weapons and ships for their oppressors for over 2 centuries. The battle for Thrinox had lasted 3 days, but it was never really in doubt. Human forces had evolved far beyond what they had been during the Zerion 7 operation. Enhanced soldiers now moved with such speed and coordination that they seemed to flow like liquid death across battlefields. Their weapons combined the best technology from multiple species, improved by human engineering into something that surpassed the original designs. General Baker, the klaxon representatives are here, reported Major Lisa Stone, his aide-de-camp. 3 klaxon leaders entered the bunker, their insectoid forms clicking nervously as they approached. The largest one, who served as their spokesperson, bowed deeply before speaking. General Baker, we thank you for our freedom, but we must ask, what do you want in return? The hegemony never freed anyone without demanding payment. Tim removed his helmet, showing his enhanced features that marked him as one of the new generation of human leaders. His eyes held flecks of silver that indicated neural implant integration, and his movements carried the fluid grace that came from genetic optimization. We want your help to free the rest of the galaxy, he said simply, but only if you choose to give it. No one will be forced to fight. The klaxon leader's compound eyes studied Tim carefully. You offer alliance, not slavery. We offer partnership. Your people are master engineers and manufacturers. Combined with human tactical innovation, we can build something the hegemony has never faced. A truly unified resistance. The negotiations lasted several hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The klaxons had waited centuries for a chance at revenge against their oppressors. Within days, their factories were retooling to produce hybrid human klaxon technology that would revolutionize the war effort. Meanwhile, in a hidden laboratory on one of humanity's mobile command stations, Dr. Maya Rodriguez was making the breakthrough that would change everything. At over 80 years old, her enhanced body still functioned with the vigor of someone decades younger, and her augmented mind processed information at superhuman speeds. Computer, display neural interface integration results, she commanded. Holographic displays showed brain scan patterns from the latest group of human volunteers who had undergone the advanced enhancement procedures. The neural command interface allowed human commanders to link directly with their ship's tactical computers, creating a fusion of human intuition and machine precision that no enemy could match. Captain Danny Foster had been one of the first to receive the full treatment. Now he stood in the control center of his new stealth cruiser, his consciousness extended through the ship's entire sensor network. He could feel the movement of every enemy vessel within a light-year radius, track their communications, and anticipate their tactical decisions before they made them. Maya, the integration is perfect, Danny reported through the neural link that connected all enhanced humans across the fleet. I can coordinate 12 ships simultaneously while maintaining full awareness of battlefield conditions. That's just the beginning, Maya replied. The next phase will allow fleet commanders to coordinate hundreds of ships as if they were controlling their own bodies. Danny was preparing to test these new capabilities against the most dangerous target yet, a Nexari hive world. The Nexari were the second most powerful species in the hegemony, master of biotechnology and collective consciousness. Their planets were living organisms, capable of defending themselves with biological weapons that could destroy entire fleets. As Danny's task force approached the Nexari system, he felt his enhanced senses reaching out across space. The hive world of Nexus Prime pulsed with organic energy patterns that would have been invisible to normal human perception. But Danny's augmented consciousness could read the planet's biological rhythms like a book. All ships, begin synchronized attack pattern, he commanded through the neural interface. Target the primary nerve clusters first. We want to disrupt their collective consciousness, not destroy the entire planet." The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, each ship following Danny's mental directions as if they were extensions of his own body. Their weapons fired in precise sequences, striking specific points on the living planet's surface. But instead of the usual energy weapons, they used something new: bioelectric disruptor beams that Maya had developed from studying captured Nexari technology. The effect was immediate and devastating. The hive world's collective consciousness began to fragment as its primary neural networks were overwhelmed by feedback cascades. Across the Nexari Empire, billions of beings suddenly found themselves thinking individual thoughts for the first time in their lives. Admiral Kate Wilson watched the operation from her flagship, marveling at how far humanity had come since their desperate flight from Earth. Her enhanced strategic awareness tracked not just this single battle, but the progress of 17 other simultaneous operations across hegemony space. "Danny, excellent work," she transmitted through the neural link. "The Nexari collective is completely disrupted. Their fleets are losing coordination across 3 sectors. More importantly," added Dr. Maya Rodriguez from her laboratory, "we're receiving surrender signals from Nexari colonies that never knew they had the option to think for themselves." The liberation of Nexus Prime triggered the largest mass defection in hegemony history. Dozens of Nexari worlds declared independence, their newly individual inhabitants eager to experience freedom of thought. But more significantly, the disruption of the collective consciousness sent shockwaves through every Nexari-controlled system, creating chaos in one of the hegemony's most stable regions. General Baker coordinated the follow-up operations from his mobile command center. Human forces and their alien allies moved swiftly to secure key systems, while the hegemony struggled to respond to the sudden collapse of Nexari coordination. "Kate, we're receiving alliance requests from 47 different species," he reported to Admiral Wilson. "The aquatic Satani are offering their stealth technology, and the energy-based luminals want to share their power generation systems." Each new alliance made the human-led coalition stronger and more diverse. The Satani contributed cloaking devices that made entire fleets invisible to hegemony sensors. The luminals provided power systems that could charge weapons and shields, far beyond their original specifications. Dozens of other species offered their own unique technologies and capabilities, but the most important development was happening in the minds of enslaved populations across the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, beings who had lived under hegemony oppression were seeing proof that resistance was possible. Underground networks spread the word. Humans had returned and they were winning. Captain Nina Clark led a strike force to liberate the prison world of torment, where the hegemony sent political dissidents and failed rebels. As her enhanced soldiers fought through the facility's defenses, they found thousands of beings from dozens of species who had been imprisoned for the crime of wanting freedom. "You're really human?" asked an elderly Zephyrian prisoner, his crystalline form dulled by decades of captivity. "We heard rumors, but we thought they were just wishful thinking." "We're human," Nina confirmed, "and we're here to offer you a choice. Join us in freeing the galaxy, or return to your homes as free beings." The old Zephyrian's crystalline structure began to glow brighter. "I've spent 30 years in this prison for speaking against the hegemony. I'll die before I let them continue enslaving the galaxy." Similar scenes played out across dozens of liberated worlds. Each victory brought new allies, new technologies, and new hope to populations that had given up on the possibility of freedom. Admiral Wilson stood in the observation lounge of her flagship, watching the tactical displays that showed the current state of the galactic war. Red indicated hegemony-controlled systems, blue showed liberated worlds, and green marked systems in open rebellion. The map was rapidly shifting from solid red to a patchwork of colors. Dr. Maya Rodriguez joined her at the display, her enhanced eyes tracking multiple data streams simultaneously. "Kate, our intelligence network indicates the hegemony leadership is finally taking us seriously. They're recalling fleets from frontier regions to protect their core worlds." "Good," Admiral Wilson replied. "Let them retreat to their strongholds. Every world they abandon becomes another ally in our coalition." The Great Rebellion had grown beyond anything the hegemony had faced in over 1,000 years of galactic domination. What had started as humanity's quest for survival had become something greater, a galactic war for the freedom of every sentient being. And at the center of it all were the enhanced humans who had refused to stay dead when the hegemony tried to erase them from existence. The hegemony garrison commander on Zerion 7 was reviewing routine mining reports when his sensors detected the impossible. Ships were appearing out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, but they weren't showing proper identification codes. The vessel designs looked unfamiliar, sleek and predatory with dark blue hulls that seemed to absorb starlight. Commander Zethik of the Zephyrian military had been stationed on this backwater mining world for 15 years. Nothing interesting ever happened here. The enslaved workers dug precious metals from the planet's crust, while hegemony ships carried the resources back to core worlds. It was boring duty, but safe. Until now. Sir, the unknown vessels are not responding to our challenges, reported his communications officer. They're moving into attack formation. Zethik studied the tactical display with growing confusion. The ships moved with precision that suggested advanced tactical computers, but their design patterns were completely alien to him. More disturbing, his sensors couldn't get clear readings on their weapon systems or defensive capabilities. How many ships? Zethik asked. 12 vessels, sir. All appear to be destroyers or light cruisers. We have 36 ships in our defense fleet. Zethik relaxed slightly. Whatever these unknown attackers were, they were severely outnumbered. All ships prepare for combat. Destroy the intruders. Admiral Kate Wilson stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the hegemony forces move into their predictable battle formation. After 40 years of studying their tactics, human strategists could anticipate every move their enemies would make. All ships execute Pattern Delta, she ordered. Remember, we want prisoners and intelligence data. Don't destroy everything. The human fleet split into 4 groups, each moving with inhuman coordination. Enhanced human pilots thought and reacted faster than any organic brain should be capable of, while their neural implants allowed them to share tactical information instantly across the entire fleet. Captain Nina Clark commanded the lead attack squadron. Her enhanced senses tracked dozens of targets simultaneously, while her implanted processors calculated firing solutions in milliseconds. The hegemony ships were moving exactly as human tactical computers had predicted they would. Target their weapons first, Nina ordered. Let's show them what 40 years of improvements look like. The human ships opened fire with weapons that combined the best elements of multiple alien technologies enhanced by human engineering. Beams of focused energy struck hegemony vessels with devastating precision, but instead of trying to destroy the enemy ships completely, the humans systematically disabled their weapons and engines. Commander Zethik watched in horror as his fleet was surgically dismantled. The unknown attackers moved with impossible speed and accuracy. His ship's return fire barely scratched their enemies' shields while every shot from the mystery vessels found its target. Sir, they're using our own technology against us, but it's been modified somehow, his weapons officer reported. Their power output is 3 times what those energy patterns should be capable of generating. Within 20 minutes, the entire hegemony defense fleet was floating helplessly in space. Not destroyed, but completely disabled. Zethik had never seen anything like it. The unknown ships moved toward Zerion 7's surface. As they entered the atmosphere, drop pods began launching toward the mining facilities where thousands of enslaved workers toiled under hegemony guard. Colonel Brett Thompson felt the familiar rush of atmospheric entry as his pod plummeted toward the planet's surface. Around him, 200 enhanced human soldiers prepared for their first real combat against hegemony forces. They had trained for this moment for decades. Brett's enhanced eyes could see clearly through the pod's viewing port as the ground rushed toward them. The mining complex sprawled across several square kilometers, surrounded by defensive walls and guard towers. Intelligence reports indicated over 5,000 enslaved workers and 300 hegemony military personnel. The pod struck the ground with tremendous impact, but Brett and his soldiers absorbed the shock easily. Their enhanced bodies were far more durable than baseline humans. As the pod doors exploded outward, Brett sprinted toward the nearest guard tower, his enhanced legs carrying him faster than any normal human could run. The hegemony guards had never faced anything like enhanced humans. Their weapons, designed to stop normal organic beings, barely slowed down attackers who moved with superhuman speed and strength. Brett leaped 20 feet straight up, grabbed the edge of the guard tower, and pulled himself onto the platform in one fluid motion. The alien guard inside the tower turned to fire at him, but Brett's enhanced reflexes made the creature's movements seem slow and clumsy. He disarmed the guard without seriously injuring it, then used his neural implant to mark the tower as secured. Across the mining complex, similar scenes played out as human soldiers overwhelmed the hegemony defenses. They moved like shadows, appearing wherever they were needed most, coordinating their actions through their neural network without speaking a word. Captain Danny Foster led a specialized team to the complex's command center. Their mission was to capture the facility's database and any high-ranking hegemony personnel. As they approached the fortified building, Danny's enhanced senses detected movement inside. 6 guards in the main corridor, 2 officers in the command room, he reported through the neural link. Non-lethal takedown preferred. Danny's team flowed through the building like water finding the easiest path. Their enhanced coordination allowed them to move as a single organism, each soldier knowing exactly where their teammates were at all times. The hegemony guards never had a chance to mount effective resistance. In the command room, Danny found a Zephyrian officer desperately trying to destroy computer files. The alien looked up in shock as Danny appeared in the doorway, moving too fast to track with normal eyes. "You're human," the officer gasped in perfect human language. "But that's impossible. We destroyed your entire species." Danny smiled coldly. "You tried. That was your mistake." Within 6 hours, the entire mining complex was under human control. The enslaved workers, representing a dozen different species, oppressed by the hegemony, stared in amazement at their liberators. Many had never seen humans before, but they had heard whispered legends about the species that had once challenged the hegemony and paid for it with extinction. Admiral Wilson transported down to the surface to address the freed slaves. She stood, before a crowd of thousands, her enhanced voice carrying clearly across the vast gathering. "People of many worlds," she began, "you have been told that resistance to the hegemony is impossible. You have been told that submission is your only choice. Today we prove that both of those things are lies." A klaxon worker stepped forward, his insectoid features showing confusion. "But you are humans. The hegemony destroyed your world decades ago." "They tried," Admiral Wilson replied. "But humans are very difficult to kill completely. We survived, we learned, and we grew stronger. Now we offer you a choice the hegemony never gave you. Join us in freeing the galaxy, or return to your homeworlds as free beings." The crowd erupted in cheers from dozens of different species. For the first time in their lives, they were seeing proof that the hegemony could be defeated. Captain Nina Clark approached Admiral Wilson with a datapad containing intelligence from the captured hegemony computers. "Kate, you need to see this. The hegemony has detailed records on every enslaved population, every military installation, and every internal conflict in their empire." Admiral Wilson studied the data with satisfaction. "Perfect. Danny, how many of the freed workers want to join our cause?" "About half of them, sir. The others want to return home to spread word of what happened here." "Even better. Let them go. Let them tell everyone that humanity has returned, and we're not the helpless refugees the hegemony tried to exterminate." As word of the Zerion 7, liberation spread through underground channels across hegemony space, enslaved populations began to hope for the first time in generations. The humans had returned, and they brought with them something the galaxy had never seen: the promise that any tyrant, no matter how powerful, could be defeated by beings who refused to surrender. Commander Zethic, now a prisoner, aboard Admiral Wilson's flagship, stared at his captors with a mixture of fear and grudging respect. These enhanced humans moved and thought in ways that defied everything the hegemony believed about biological limitations. "What do you want from us?" he asked Admiral Wilson during his interrogation. "Justice," she replied simply. "Your people, tried to commit genocide against humanity. Now we're going to show the galaxy what happens when you awaken something you should have left alone. 38 years had passed since the day Earth burned. The Kepler system, hidden in a region of space the aliens had never bothered to explore, now bustled with human activity. What had begun as 47 desperate evacuation ships had grown into a thriving civilization that spanned 6 planets and dozens of space stations. Chief Engineer Ryan Bell stood on the observation deck of humanity's Hope, the massive space station that served as their capital. He watched construction crews putting the finishing touches on their newest warship design. The sleek vessel looked nothing like the old Earth destroyers. Its hull combined human engineering with alien materials they had slowly learned to manufacture. Energy conduits ran along its surface in patterns that would have seemed impossible to the humans who fled Earth decades ago. Ryan remembered being a young technician on one of the evacuation ships, desperately trying to keep their stolen alien power cores from exploding during the long journey to safety. Now he understood those systems better than their original creators. Human engineers had a gift the aliens lacked. They could look at any technology and immediately start thinking of ways to make it better, faster, or more efficient. "The new ships are ready for testing," said Lieutenant Carl Davis, approaching with a data pad. "Dr. Rodriguez wants to run combat simulations before we install the enhanced neural interfaces." Ryan nodded. Dr. Maya Rodriguez had become their most important scientist, the key to humanity's transformation from refugees to something far more dangerous. She was waiting for him in Laboratory Complex 7, the most secure facility in the Kepler system. Maya looked up from her workstation as Ryan entered. At 73 years old, she moved with the energy of someone half her age, thanks to the genetic therapy treatments she had developed from captured alien biotechnology. Her eyes were sharper than any normal human's, able to see across more of the light spectrum than nature had originally provided. "Ryan, look at this," she said, gesturing to a complex holographic display showing DNA structures. "I've been analyzing the enhancement procedures the aliens use on their own species. They're so limited in their thinking. They make small, careful changes over hundreds of years." "And humans?" Maya smiled. "We can adapt the same changes in months, and we're not afraid to try combinations they would never consider. Watch this." She manipulated the display, showing how human genetic structure could be modified to incorporate beneficial traits from multiple alien species. Enhanced reflexes from the Zephyrians, improved healing from the Nexari, even the ability to interface directly with quantum computers. Ryan studied the data with fascination and concern. "Maya, are we still human after all these changes?" "We're better than human. We're what humans become when they refuse to accept limitations." She pulled up another display showing brain scan patterns. "The neural enhancement program is ready for the next phase. We can increase cognitive processing speed by 300% while maintaining emotional stability and creativity." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert chime. Admiral Kate Wilson's voice came through the communication system. "All senior staff to the command center. We have a situation." Ryan and Maya made their way through the station's corridors, passing workshops where human engineers worked alongside alien refugees who had joined their cause over the years. The Kepler system had become a haven for anyone fleeing the galactic hegemony's oppression. In the command center, Admiral Wilson stood before a large tactical display. She had been a junior officer during Earth's destruction, but 40 years of leadership had turned her into a formidable military strategist. Her silver hair was pulled back severely, and her enhanced eyes tracked multiple data streams simultaneously. "Captain Danny Foster has returned from his reconnaissance mission," she announced. "The news is better than we hoped." Danny stepped forward, still wearing his scout ship pilot suit. He had volunteered for the most dangerous missions, spending months at a time deep in hegemony space, gathering intelligence while staying invisible to their sensors. "The hegemony is falling apart," Danny reported. "The Zephyrians and Nexari are fighting over resource allocation. 3 member species have attempted to break away in the past year, and the central government is using increasingly brutal methods to maintain control." Admiral Wilson highlighted several star systems on the tactical display. "More importantly, Danny has brought us complete tactical data on their frontier defense systems. They've grown complacent. They believe humanity is extinct, so they've reduced their military presence in outer regions. Maya leaned forward, studying the data. Kate, this is our chance, but we need to be absolutely certain our people are ready for combat against hegemony forces. Which brings me to the real reason I called this meeting, Admiral Wilson said. She activated another display showing detailed schematics. Project Resurrection is complete. Ryan's breath caught. Project Resurrection was their most ambitious undertaking. The complete redesign of human military capabilities using 4 decades of stolen and improved alien technology. Our new generation soldiers don't just carry better weapons, Admiral, Wilson explained. They are better weapons, enhanced reflexes, improved strength, expanded sensory range, and neural implants that allow them to coordinate with their equipment and each other in ways the aliens can't match. Danny pulled up footage from his reconnaissance mission. I witnessed a hegemony military exercise. Their tactics haven't changed in centuries. They rely on superior technology and numbers, but they're predictable. Our enhanced soldiers could run circles around them. What about their advanced warships? Ryan asked. Admiral Wilson smiled coldly. Show him, Danny. The display changed to show technical specifications of hegemony vessels. Danny pointed to key systems. Their ships are powerful but inflexible. They use standardized designs across their entire fleet, but we've been studying their technology for 40 years while developing completely new approaches. Our ships are smaller, faster, and more adaptable, Maya added. Plus, we have something they've never encountered: human unpredictability combined with enhanced mental processing. Our captains can develop new tactics in real time, while their commanders follow predetermined battle plans. Admiral Wilson called up a star chart showing the route from Kepler system to the nearest hegemony worlds. Gentlemen, ladies, it's time to remind the galaxy that humanity is still here, and we're not the helpless refugees they tried to exterminate. Ryan looked around at his colleagues, these brilliant humans who had spent 4 decades turning desperation into strength. They had taken the aliens' own technology and made it into something greater. The hegemony had tried to wipe out humanity because they feared human adaptability, but they had only given humans 40 years to become exactly what they were afraid of. What's our first target? Maya asked. Zerion 7, Admiral Wilson replied, a mining world with minimal defenses. It's populated mostly by enslaved species forced to extract resources for the hegemony. When we liberate it, we'll send a message that will reach every oppressed world in their empire. Danny nodded approvingly. The hegemony will finally learn what happens when you try to destroy humanity instead of leaving us alone. As the meeting broke up, Ryan remained at the tactical display, studying the route to their first target. 40 years ago, 50,000 humans had fled into the darkness carrying nothing but hope and stolen alien technology. Now they were about to emerge from hiding as something the galaxy had never seen, an enhanced human civilization with the combined knowledge of multiple species and an unbreakable determination to free the galaxy from tyranny. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the massive alien fleet approaching Earth through the bridge view screen of his destroyer. The ships looked like crystal spears floating in space, each one twice the size of his largest battleship. Behind them came darker vessels that pulsed with strange organic lights. Jake had fought pirates and rebels for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like this. The communication console beeped. Lieutenant Amy Walsh turned to face him with wide eyes. Sir, we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It's in perfect English. Put it through, Jake said, gripping the armrest of his command chair. A cold, echoing voice filled the bridge. Humans of Earth, you have been deemed a contamination risk to galactic civilization. Your species spreads too quickly and adapts without control. You will be eliminated for the safety of all advanced life forms. This is not negotiable. This is final. The transmission ended. Jake looked around at his crew. Every face showed the same mix of fear and anger he felt burning in his chest. All ships, this is Morrison. Battle stations, prepare for defensive action. Down on Earth's surface, Dr. Lisa Carter was working late in her laboratory when the alert sirens began screaming across the city. She had been studying alien technology samples that human explorers had brought back from distant worlds over the past few years. The pieces were fascinating, more advanced than anything humans had created, but she had been making progress in understanding how they worked. Her computer screen flashed with an emergency broadcast. The president appeared, his face grave. "Citizens of Earth, we are under attack by alien forces. All military personnel report to stations immediately. Civilians should move to designated shelters." Lisa grabbed her research data and ran toward the exit. Through the laboratory windows, she could see bright flashes in the sky where human ships were fighting the invaders. The flashes were getting closer to the planet's surface. In orbit, Jake's fleet was losing badly. The alien weapons cut through, human shields like paper. Their crystal ships moved with impossible speed and grace. Every time his gunners scored a hit, the enemy vessel's surface would shimmer and repair itself within seconds. "Captain, we've lost the Yorktown and the Berlin," reported Commander Alex Turner from his position at the tactical station. "The aliens aren't even using their full force. They're playing with us." Jake watched another human ship explode in a ball of fire. "Alex, get on the emergency channel, start organizing evacuation ships. Get every civilian transport and cargo hauler ready to leave the system." "Sir, where would they go? The aliens control faster than light travel, better than we do." "Anywhere but here. We'll buy them time." On the planet below, Lisa had reached the government emergency bunker. Inside, she found chaos. Military officers shouted orders while technicians worked frantically at computer stations. General Paul Roberts noticed her arrival and waved her over. "Carter, thank God you're here. We intercepted some of their communications. Can you make sense of this?" He handed her a datapad showing streams of alien text and symbols. Lisa studied the patterns. Her years of analyzing alien technology had taught her to look for common elements in their design language. After several minutes, she looked up with shock. "General, this isn't just an attack order. They're afraid of us." "Afraid? They're destroying our entire fleet." "No, listen to this." Lisa pointed at specific symbols on the pad. "They call us rapid adapters and technology thieves. They say we learn too fast and change their stolen tech in ways they never expected. They think if they let us live, we'll surpass them within 50 years. General Roberts stared at her. "They're trying to wipe us out because we're too good at copying their stuff?" "Not just copying, improving, making it better than the original." Above them, Jake's remaining ships were being pushed back toward Earth's atmosphere. The alien bombardment had begun. Bright beams of energy struck major cities, turning buildings to dust. Millions of people were dying with each blast. Alex Turner coordinated the evacuation from his bridge station. "Captain, we have 47 civilian ships loaded and ready, but they need an escort to get past the alien blockade." Jake made the hardest decision of his career. "Take half our remaining fleet and escort them out. Get them as far from here as possible." "What about you, sir?" "Someone has to keep the aliens busy while you escape." Alex understood. He selected 20 of their best pilots and began forming an escort formation around the fleeing civilian ships. As they prepared to jump to hyperspace, Jake's remaining destroyers charged directly at the alien fleet. The desperate attack caught the aliens off guard for just a moment. Jake's ships fired everything they had, scoring several direct hits before being overwhelmed. But it was enough. Alex's evacuation fleet disappeared into hyperspace just as Jake's flagship exploded. Lisa watched the space battle from the bunker's observation deck. When Jake's ship died in that final flash of light, she knew Earth was doomed. But she also knew something the aliens didn't realize yet. In her laboratory files and in the minds of the 50,000 humans now fleeing into deep space, humanity carried detailed scans and analysis of every piece of alien technology they had encountered. The evacuation ships traveled for days through hyperspace, far beyond any known star system. When they finally stopped, Alex Turner looked around at the other ship captains on his communication screen. They were all that remained of humanity, floating in empty space between distant galaxies. "What do we do now?" asked Captain Betty Stone from the cargo hauler New Haven. Alex thought about Jake's sacrifice and Lisa's discovery. The aliens had tried to eliminate humanity because they feared what humans could become. But they had made a crucial mistake. Instead of destroying humanity's potential, they had given them the greatest motivation possible: survival and revenge. "We survive," Alex said. "We learn everything we can from the technology we captured. We grow stronger, and someday we make them pay for what they did to Earth." Behind them, Earth continued to burn. The aliens believed they had solved their human problem forever. They had no idea that 50,000 very angry, very motivated humans were about to spend the next 40 years turning stolen alien technology into something the galaxy had never seen before. The galactic hegemony had tried to erase humanity, but they had only succeeded in making them desperate enough to become unstoppable. The final battle for Zephyr Prime began at dawn across a dozen different time zones on the crystalline homeworld of the hegemony. Admiral Kate Wilson commanded the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. 10,000 ships representing over 60 different species, all united under human leadership. From the bridge of her flagship Terran Dawn, Kate watched the enemy formations through enhanced sensors that combined technologies from multiple allied races. The hegemony had gathered every remaining warship for this last desperate defense of their capital world. Crystal spires on the planet's surface glowed with defensive energy patterns that could destroy entire fleets. "All Alliance commanders, this is Admiral Wilson," she transmitted on the unified command frequency. "Remember, we're here to end a war, not start a genocide. Minimize civilian casualties and focus on military targets only." The response came back in dozens of languages from species that had been enemies for millennia before humans taught them to fight together. Klaxon battle cruisers moved in formation with Sitani stealth ships. Luminal energy beings flowed through space alongside former Nexari collective units that now thought as individuals. At the center of it all, human vessels coordinated the massive fleet with precision that seemed impossible. Captain Danny Foster piloted his enhanced fighter through the opening moments of the battle. His consciousness expanded through neural interfaces to monitor every aspect of the conflict simultaneously. His awareness encompassed not just his own ship, but the movements of thousands of allied vessels and the responses of enemy forces. "Kate, the hegemony is pulling their fleets back to the planet's surface," he reported through the neural link. "They're going to try to use the planetary defense grid as a fortress." "Expected," Admiral Wilson replied. "Execute Plan Omega." Plan Omega was the culmination of 4 years of careful preparation. Instead of launching a direct assault against the heavily defended planet, the human fleet began a complex maneuver that surrounded Zephyr Prime with overlapping fields of influence. Ships positioned themselves at precise coordinates calculated to disrupt the planet's defensive systems without damaging the population centers below. General Tim Baker led the ground assault component, but this was unlike any planetary invasion in galactic history. Enhanced human soldiers didn't drop from orbit in destructive bombardments. Instead, they infiltrated the planet through teleportation technology borrowed from the luminals and stealth systems provided by the Sitani. Tim materialized inside the hegemony's primary command complex, surrounded by his elite strike team. Their enhanced bodies moved with impossible grace as they advanced through corridors designed for crystalline beings. The Zephyrian guards they encountered were offered chances to surrender before any violence began. "Remember," Tim told his soldiers through their neural link, "we're here to arrest war criminals, not slaughter defenders." In the deepest levels of the command complex, the hegemony's leadership had gathered for their final conference. The high crystal of the Zephyrians, a being of pure crystalline energy that had ruled for over 1,000 years, stood before a tactical display showing their collapsing defenses. "The humans have brought too many allies," reported the Nexari Prime node, its collective consciousness now fragmented but still functional. "Every species we once dominated has joined their coalition." "Then we initiate the final protocol," the High Crystal declared. "If we cannot maintain our empire, we'll ensure no one can inherit it. Activate the planetary destruction sequence." Deep beneath Zephyr Prime's surface, ancient fusion charges began their countdown sequence. The explosion would not only destroy the planet, but create a chain reaction that would destabilize the entire star system. Billions of beings would die, including the human fleet surrounding the world. But the hegemony had underestimated how thoroughly humans had studied their technology. Dr. Maya Rodriguez, now over 90 years old but enhanced beyond normal biological limits, detected the activation sequence from her laboratory aboard the fleet's command ship. "Kate, they're going to destroy the planet rather than surrender," she transmitted urgently. "We have maybe 10 minutes before detonation." Admiral Wilson's enhanced mind processed tactical options at superhuman speed. Direct evacuation was impossible, with so many ships in system. Disabling the charges would require infiltrating the most heavily defended structure on the planet. But there was another option, one that only enhanced humans could attempt. "Danny, I need you to link with the planetary computer network," she ordered. "Maya, can you guide him through the systems?" Captain Danny Foster closed his eyes and extended his consciousness through his neural interfaces. With Maya's guidance, he began to penetrate the crystalline computer networks that controlled Zephyr Prime's infrastructure. His enhanced mind processed information patterns that would have destroyed a normal human brain. "I'm in," Danny reported, his voice strained from the effort. "The fusion charges are hardwired to prevent remote shutdown, but I can access the planetary defense grid. Can you redirect the defensive energy to contain the explosion?" Admiral Wilson asked. "Maybe, but it would require perfect timing and complete system control." Danny's consciousness dove deeper into the alien computer networks, racing against time as the countdown continued. Around him, the final space battle raged as human and allied forces fought to disable the remaining hegemony ships before they could interfere with his desperate mission. General Baker reached the hegemony leadership chamber just as Danny gained control of the planetary systems. The High Crystal and Prime Node stood before the massive view screen, watching their empire's final moments with cold satisfaction. "You've won nothing, human," the High Crystal declared. "In 3 minutes, this entire system will be destroyed. Your precious fleet will burn with us." "That's where you're wrong," Tim replied calmly. He activated his neural link to Danny. "Do it now." Across Zephyr Prime's surface, the defensive grid suddenly reversed its energy patterns. Instead of projecting outward to destroy attacking ships, the massive energy field began to compress inward, creating a containment shell around the fusion charges buried deep in the planet's core. When the charges detonated, the explosion was contained within Danny's energy field. The planet shook but held together, and the fusion fire was channeled harmlessly into space through carefully controlled vents in the defensive grid. The High Crystal stared in shock at the tactical display showing their failed destruction attempt. "Impossible. No organic mind can control our entire planetary network simultaneously." "You never understood what you tried to destroy," Tim said, removing his helmet to show his enhanced features. "Humans don't just adapt to your technology. We make it better than you ever imagined possible." The surrender of Zephyr Prime marked the end of the galactic hegemony's 1,000-year reign of terror. Across dozens of star systems, remaining hegemony forces laid down their weapons as news of their leadership's defeat spread through space. 6 months later, Admiral Kate Wilson stood on the rebuilt surface of Earth, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive for the founding ceremony of the Terran Federation. The planet had been restored using technology from 60 different species, all working together under human coordination. President Lisa Carter, the former xenobiologist who had discovered the truth about the hegemony's fears so many decades ago, addressed the assembled representatives. Her enhanced lifespan had allowed her to witness humanity's entire journey from near extinction to galactic leadership. "Representatives of the free galaxy," she began, "we gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners in building something that has never existed before, a truly cooperative galactic civilization." The ceremony was broadcast to billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. Former slaves, recent allies, and even reformed hegemony species listened as President Carter outlined the principles of the new government: voluntary membership, shared technology, mutual defense, and the absolute right of any species to govern itself according to its own values. Dr. Maya Rodriguez, now the Federation's chief science advisor, announced the establishment of the Enhancement Sharing Program. The genetic and cybernetic improvements that had made humans so formidable would be made available to any species that wanted them. But more importantly, humans would work with each species to develop enhancements suited to their unique biology and culture. Captain Danny Foster had been promoted to admiral and given command of the new exploration fleet. His mission was to venture beyond the borders of known space, seeking out new civilizations and offering them the choice of joining the growing galactic community. As the ceremony concluded, Admiral Wilson walked through the restored city, where she had once been a young officer fleeing Earth's destruction. The buildings around her incorporated architectural styles from dozens of worlds, a visible symbol of the new galaxy's diversity and unity. A young human child approached her, one of the new generation born after the war's end. "Admiral Wilson, my teacher says you helped save the whole galaxy, is that true?" Kate knelt down to the child's level, thinking about the long journey from that desperate flight from a burning Earth to this moment of triumph. "We all saved the galaxy together. Humans, Klaxons, Satani, Luminals, even reformed Zephyrians and Nexari.